Good evening, internet. Before I get into what I wanted to talk about, I just want to share the story of how I got to this mentality. About a month ago, my laptop broke. It really like triggered me fundamentally to my core to lose my laptop, especially in such a way. After years of it being on the fritz, where I had to reboot it every like couple weeks just to get it functioning normally. And this is a little 32 gig hard drive, like not a big, massive gaming laptop or anything. This is just for writing, and I also used it to watch YouTube and plug in my Tera drive and watch shows. So that was the extent of the use of my laptop. Well, Facebook. It really didn't function well. By the end, I had to reboot it every couple weeks, sometimes like every 3 days. So after years and years of it being on the fritz, water fell on it. Like an entire cup full of water fell directly on the keyboard. So that hit hard. What's great, it was in the split second where I put the water down. I knew not to put it down there. I knew better, and yet it still happened. So I went online and I started budgeting for a brand new laptop, which the laptop that I bought 6 years ago, to buy one that's almost the same but not quite, just with more storage. Because they realized that they couldn't do that, the computers mess up and then you end up rebooting it every 2 weeks. There's like 128 gigabytes of storage instead of 32, which is what I had. So that started me on the process of budgeting for a new laptop. The price went up. I bought mine for like, I think $299, maybe $199. The price went up from that in 6 years to $600. Anyways, I budgeted for the laptop and it was great. I was gonna buy myself a new one, and then I realized I hadn't bought my kids tablets that I promised them whenever their tablets broke. So I went and bought the tablets instead. In that time, because I spent the money on the tablets, I really don't have enough money for, like, I'm a stoner. I don't have enough money for weed, so I had to cut back drastically on how much I smoke. I was smoking like 2 ounces a month, like 4 ounces a month around. I had to cut back and just accept, okay, I don't have weed for a little bit, the kids have a tablet, I don't have a laptop, so we're gonna all be sharing the main laptop, which is 11 years old. All of this acceptance comes like full circle when today I said, and I wrote it down because I was just like, what the fuck did I just say? My laptop that's 11 years old has a nice little problem with the internet. The network adapter is too old to work anymore, and what I didn't even realize is it hasn't even been updating in about 2 years. Every time it goes to update, it undoes changes and then is normal. And I don't really care about that because I don't care about the updates, but apparently for Windows 10 the updates are like mandatory for it to keep functioning, so that don't help. But because of my network my network adapter going out every few minutes, like it'll be, you know, we just want to back up in a video, but it's online, so it wipes out our internet. And we've gotten used to that. It's been like 6 months of this, so it's very frustrating, and sometimes, you know, the 5 and 3-year-old that watch TV might like shout and be like, oh, the internet's out again, you know, and it's really frustrating. We know, you know, if we turn on a show that if we want to bring it back to the beginning, because, you know, it starts halfway through, the internet's probably going to go out and we'll have to like fix it, which is just troubleshooting it, and then it takes a minute and you get the internet back. So it's not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. You know, we could not have a laptop. That could be a reality. My youngest asked to watch The Wiggles today. So I put on The Wiggles. It was halfway through. Instead of backing it up, I'm like, maybe I'll just go to the next episode and that way it won't wipe out the internet. But it happened again, and she was like kind of impatient. Like she looked at the TV and like her eyes kind of bugged out, and I went, it's okay, we're just wiping out the internet quickly, then we'll go from there. Like I said, like I kind of like felt like an out-of-body experience where I'm just like, we're just wiping out the internet quickly, then we'll go from there. Our computer doesn't function well, we're aware of this malfunction, and we'll, you know, just accept it and go from there. Like that meme, things don't break, I just adjust my way of using them. That is a poverty mentality. People who have money and like don't worry about stuff like that, like, and to be fair, there are people who have money and can be either cheap or resourceful depending on how you use that skill of using things that are broken in new ways, right? For people who have no money, it's resourceful and like survival. Like, okay, our thing broke, so now we're just gonna adjust our way of using it, otherwise we don't have it anymore. So what do we rather? Use it the broken way or not have it, right? So all of this comes back. That great story of we're just wiping out the internet for a few minutes. All of it comes back to what exactly is success? How exactly do you define success? How do I define success? How does anyone define success, right? The past few months before my laptop broke, I went down a narcissism rabbit hole. I was like just coming out of it whenever my laptop broke, which was just breathing videos about this subject. And one of the things that stuck out to me that I'd never actually pieced together in my own life, but now I just understand it so well, is the feeling of being unsettled. Like, no matter what, nothing's ever good enough, and it's really unsettling to everyone involved. I can imagine the person who like really feels that way is just complete chaos. But that's where there's an expression in my family that is, crazy people make sane people crazy. And I think that that's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's almost a contagion to feel unsettled because of whatever reason, because of this person who cannot be settled or satisfied in life, whatever, being around you, or for any number of reasons. It could just be something that has nothing to do with narcissism, but why exactly do so many people feel unsettled? And when I say unsettled, I mean like kind of uncomfortable in your own skin. You're in such need of a comfort zone because nothing feels comfortable. So you stay in your comfort zone. At least that's one thing that I've noticed could be a result of that, right? You stay in your comfort zone because everything is just uncomfortable, everything around you. So what has led to this feeling of discomfort, and why is it so chronic? Why is it perpetual? Why will it never go away? Back to the story about the laptop, like just a few months ago, you know, we didn't have milk for a night. Like right now we don't have milk for a week, and we're all just kind of dealing with it. The kids need milk to go to bed. It's been 5 years that we don't have like no milk for, you know, a week or whatever. But this week is just, the household stress is like through the roof. You know, if this would have happened 3 months ago, I'd be off my rocker, stressed out the whole week, and like shaking, like almost withdrawals, not because I don't have milk, but because I can't get the fucking thing for my kids that they want, right? And it's the same with the laptop. I would have been like shaking withdrawals, like, okay, I need weed, I need smokes, I need something that's comfortable and settles this feeling of discomfort. Where does that discomfort come from? Like in one sense, it's familiarity, you know, like weed, milk, Coca-Cola, these are all things that, you know, we just have daily. It's like having your daily cup of coffee, and then if you don't have it, you feel on edge. And granted, there's a fair amount of caffeine in that, so that's also closer to addiction, but it could be anything. It could be not watching the show that you like watching when you get home at night. You know, the sameness being kind of shattered. So obviously all of these things can make someone feel uncomfortable for a time. But the key is, for some people, that discomfort never goes away. And for a long ass time, until about 3 months ago, I was one of those people. I'm not a narcissist. I'm relatively sure I'm not. But what I can say is I definitely had some narcissistic traits that I had to realize, okay, these aren't normal, these aren't healthy ways of being, and I need to work on this. And one of those ways was that feeling of being unsettled. I should try breathing whenever I talk. It might help a lot. It really does help with my anxiety. That's something I noticed like 10 years ago, that I'll have major anxiety whenever I'm talking, and somebody told me, like it was like a counselor or something, maybe take a breath when you're talking and it won't feel so anxious. It does work. Really, some people just need to talk a little bit slower, take a breath, and then you feel like not anxious. You just kind of chill with the universe. So back to this whole unsettling thing. What is it that makes it chronic? What is it that makes it perpetual, where you know, you're kind of like a workaholic. You can never sit down and be still, and not in a kid way, you know, where you get up and you have to run around because you're a kid and you just have to go explore and you have to be curious and all of that fun stuff. What is it that makes grown-ass people who, you know, should be relatively settled in life, like emotionally adjusted, whatever, okay, what is it that makes us, or not emotionally adjusted, you don't have to be emotionally adjusted, but what is it that makes us feel so unsettled all the time? I've come to the conclusion that for myself, and this might help quite a few people, I don't know. For myself, it's been a misalignment between how I define success and how I like internally define success. Like what my body is, what my unconscious, my subconscious defines success as versus how I actually define it. Now I'm going to use some examples. The first one is everybody knows, or at least most people do, right? But like surface level, everybody knows. Success isn't defined by how much money you make. You're not supposed to look at other people who have a lot of money and go, oh, that person's a good person, and other people who have no money and go, oh, that person's a bad person. I mean, technically success might not be defined by being good or bad either, but you're not supposed to make like deep judgments on people based on how much wealth they have, right? So that's a clear-cut example of something that's aesthetic that a lot of people do define as successful, which is money. Another good one is looks don't matter. But a lot of people do define their own success based on how they look. You know, if they get older and they start not looking how they did when they were 20, they feel like they're less successful. Like, and it's not like you feel like you're less yourself. You feel like you are less important to the world. You feel like you're less successful. And what exactly is success? I would say it's like your importance in your own life, in the world. That is what like success fundamentally is. That feeling where you feel successful. It's like feeling fulfilled, but not quite. It's like feeling fulfilled in a very specific way. With, again, like I just said, how important you are, like you believe that you are to yourself, to your life, and how important you feel that you are into the world. One of them would be money. The other one would be looks. Another good one is keeping a clean home. I've known a lot of people that have judged people based on how clean their home is. And this can go like really any extreme, but same for all of these. And one thing that I absolutely love, one quote from a movie that I watched whenever I was a kid, Yours, Mine, and Ours, is, and this stuck with me, homes are for free expression, not good impressions. That is so poignantly true. I absolutely adore that phrase. There's nothing actually wrong with, you know, wanting money or wanting to look good or wanting a nice clean home. And they're actually really good, decent goals to work towards in your life. But using them as a measurement of your or anyone else's success can be really, I think, fundamentally dehumanizing. Because like I said, you know, you could be a bad person who has all of this. You could be a terrible person who has money, who has looks, and who has a nice, clean, organized house. Or you could be a great person that has none of this. So fundamentally, and again, is like success defined by how good a person is or how bad they are? Is, you know, that what you believe in your core? And if that's the case, then yes, you should absolutely go, okay, money doesn't matter, looks don't matter. I believe that the innate goodness of a person or innate evilness is what defines success. If you're good, then you're successful. If you're bad, then you're not. That's a really good way to define success. That's more healthy than the aesthetic ways that I just listed. So when it comes to my roundabout point here, how do you define success? To me, it's a matter of, does it align with your core values, with your innate personal beliefs that are yours, unique to you? Does it align with that? And does it align with what you know to be true? Because this is what I've come to realize is it's like in Good Will Hunting. The scene where it's not your fault, and then Will loses it. The fundamental like lesson to learn from that scene, which thank you cinema therapy, because I never even caught that, is even the smartest, most intellectual people that do understand all of this stuff have a hard time catching up emotionally on what they know intellectually. So if you know intellectually, fundamentally, you know looks are not the cornerstone of my success, it might not translate to your body. It might not translate to your unconscious. That comes down to what is success. So for me, I wrote it down. First off, success is very personal. How you define it is very, very personal. And it might be, you know, money and looks and how your house looks and all of these aesthetic things are genuinely how you define success. If that's the case, then you might be unsettled for a long time. But that's okay. You might also be very settled because you have all of these things. That's fine. If that's not how you feel, and if how you define success is very different, yet you feel unsettled, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel inadequate, and you feel like you're not making enough money. The personal thing is, you know, very, very personal. You might care about looks, you might not care about looks. You might care about art, you might not care about art. You might value emotional stability, you might like chaos. Whatever it is, that's the personal part. What I think is universal is authentically being able to express yourself. So knowing honestly what you think success is and being able to express it. Like somebody who knows, you know, I value money, I like value people who have money and are just upfront about it, they're not going to feel unsettled as long as they're working to get money, you know. And if they're not getting money, then they're probably going to feel unsettled. If you value success by if someone's a good person, if somebody is kind, if people take time out of their day to help other people, expressing it honestly is the first step to being successful. And then it's, you know, actually living in alignment with what you believe success is. So if you think success is making money, go make money. If you think success is being kind, go be kind. Don't sugarcoat it, don't halfway it, you know? And don't overdo it. I'm not saying like if you think success is being kind, then you have to be the kindest person. Like, no, just be kind when you can and take it easy, you know, relax. Like don't overthink it, but just live in accordance with what you believe success is. Live in accordance with your core values and your core beliefs and all of these important things that are unique to you. There's nobody else that can tell you what your values are. There's nobody else that can tell you how you'll feel fulfilled and how you'll define success. I think a universal, I don't think this is unique to me, it might be, like a measurement of success is having meaningful connections. It's not having a whole bunch of them. It's not having like 100,000 friends. It could be. If you want to help a lot of people and you want to reach a lot of people, then success can be defined by how many people you reach. And it could be that you want to keep to yourself. You know, that's not what's in question here. But I do think that everybody, is just human nature, has a fundamental need to feel connected. And it doesn't even need to be to people, although for the most part that would be, you know, the norm is families and friendships, having like deep connections. And you don't even have to be like the strong silent type can have deep meaningful connections. It doesn't have to be like you talk about everything and all your life goals. And I think having those deep meaningful connections is like universal to how we define success as people, just because we are, you know, we're a social species. And like I said, you could be someone who wants to be a loner and not have a lot of people around you, and you could still want to feel connected to things like art, things like nature. You know, somebody who wants to go live out in the woods. You don't want any people. That's what I've been saying since I was a kid. Now I've got kids, so my goals are a little bit different. But whenever I was a kid, I was straight up, I'm going to be a reclusive writer in the mountains when I grow up. You could want to be reclusive completely on your own, and the connections could come from nature. You want to feel connected to the world around you. I think that connections are universal for success. But again, that could just be my own personal like measurement of success that I'm imposing on other people. Although I've been thinking about it, like I did all of this where I'm going like, okay, there are some people that really do value money. There are some people that do not value money, that don't think that that's a means of measuring anybody's anything, right? And you can be on either side of the extreme for all of it. Looks, house clean, good, bad, you know, and I was thinking about all of that. And then I was thinking about connections. And like I said, you could be the strong silent type, you could be reclusive, but there are still a lot of ways that you would want to connect fundamentally. And I think that once people start really living in line with whatever is their personal measurement of success, then the unsettled feeling can come from, like I said, if you believe that money is the cornerstone of success and you're not making any, that can make you feel unsettled. Other than that, for those of us who are not aesthetically inclined, once you feel that alignment where you feel like, okay, this is how I measure success, and this is what I'm doing. Like, I've come to realize in the last few months, I was measuring success partly by how clean my house was. I am not a person like that. It's because of external factors that I started feeling like that. But now it's just, oh, if I do these chores every day, then I feel like I'm successful because I'm taking care of my kids, which is part of connecting. It has nothing to do with keeping the house clean. Although, you know, having the house clean, like, we can run around, I've said this in my books, we can run around without tripping, we can, you know, do dishes without worrying about it, we can get dressed in whatever clothes we want because they're all washed. So having the house clean does have actual functionality benefits. But the reason why I want to keep it clean has nothing to do with aesthetics, because it's the same ridiculousness as everybody coming in and then like going like, so how do you keep your kids from writing on your wall? Because I outline my books on my wall. And I'm just like, I don't really care if they write on the wall. Like, quite frankly, the only reason I care is because I'm renting. If it wasn't for that, they'd write on the wall and I'd just be like, oh, very cool, good job. Like, why do I care? Who cares about that? But, and I get people do care about that, and I'm not here to bash anybody who does, but that is how I look at the world, and that's how I define success. So the fact that somebody like that, who straight up does not care about cleanliness, like, at a base level, I really don't, as long as things are okay and functional and healthy, you know, like, I do care about cleanliness if it reaches an unhealthy level, right? As long as it's all, like, good, well and good, then I don't care. So how could someone like that end up being like, the house isn't clean, I can't have people over, we can't do anything today, the house isn't clean, for, like, years. It's been, like, 2 years like that. I know exactly how that happens. That question is very rhetorical. All of that to show an example of how sometimes how you interact with the world can fall out of line with who you are. At the core, who you want to be. It doesn't even necessarily have to be who you are. If you're aligned, then you feel settled. Doesn't matter if you value money, doesn't matter what you value. The last component of what would be success would be building a life that brings you closer to what you consider success. So it doesn't have to mean, you know, if you think that money is success, money is the cornerstone of everything, and having money is what will make you happy, then the way that you would feel unsettled wouldn't necessarily be to have all that money. It'd just be to be working towards getting money and to feel like you're making progress. If you're not feeling like you're making progress, then you're going to feel unsettled. But as long as you do that, then you should feel settled. And it's the same for anything. As long as once you figure out, you know, how to express yourself honestly and authentically throughout your daily life, then you'll figure out what kind of life that you want to build. And once you know that and you can start working towards that, there will be trials and tribulations, and that's okay. There will be days that you're working towards it and you really, like, you're getting closer, and then, like, days that set you back, and that's all okay. As long as you're working towards it, you should feel much more settled than if you have, like, you're working towards this, but you think success is this. You know, like, if you believe that you value something, and then you're subconsciously valuing something else and measuring your success based on that, that's where I think that unsettled feeling can come from. Because since I've, like, accepted everything, like, I'm so happy and I'm unsettled. Because I'm not settled, I came out of being unsettled. So I really did unsettling. and I'm able to just get through the day without losing my shit. And for me, a good measure of success is emotional stability. And I don't mean that people who are emotionally unstable aren't successful, but for something that I want from myself, that's important. And I feel like since I've started really falling in line with what I value, just what I value and how I measure success, like, my emotional stability has just kind of whoop, and I'm good. Which I find completely unbelievable. So if you guys don't believe me, that's totally fine. I can be a crazy person in the minds of the masses. So the first one is earnestly expressing yourself, and then the second is working towards building the life that you truly want. And as long as you do those things, there's no reason to think that you're not successful. Even if you have days where it's much less than other days. You can have months where it goes down and then it goes back up. You know, that's life. Life is just bloop, 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 bloop. So I once did this chart, and I think that it can really express what I'm trying to say here. So an optimist looks at life like this, like it's all ups, there's no downs, just yeah, rose-colored glasses all the way. A pessimist, there's no bright side, there's no silver lining, just dark clouds and chaos all the way, right? Most people think that realists do something like this. You know, life can be up, life can be down, you know, like what I was just saying, you have your trials and tribulations. But in reality, realism looks something a little bit more like my pen went out for a little bit while I was doing this, and I feel like that better represents it than if it hadn't. That's realism for life. Like you can be going on a straight line and then just whoop, okay, just something totally off your path, and then whoop, right back on your path. What just happened? So this video series is more or less like my vlog, where I'm trying to sort through my understanding of life, the universe, and everything, and I'm just gonna do it publicly a little bit and hope I can help people, or hope people can help me, and you know, just do this as a collective. That's the great thing about the human race is, like, fuck, I gotta do a video on my faith in humanity, because I'm one of those people that genuinely thinks people are like the worst. Like, oh my god, I've got no faith in humanity sometimes, and quite frankly, anybody who worked at a call center, we leave the day going, our faith in humanity is just gone. Like, did you turn it off and on? That worked? Great, okay. But then I have fundamental faith that I don't think a lot of people, like, I think that how I feel like that, like no faith in humanity, we're parasites kind of thing, is how most people feel right now. So I think that having that other little, you know, perspective of we're not parasites, we are nature, we are the universe becoming aware of itself, Carl Sagan. If we've got that little perspective there to balance out the whole we suck thing, then it might help us to reach a collective hearing. So it might help us to reach a collective healing, to reach a collective healing. So that started me on the journey of Fiona Bart's in her sleep. So I think that everybody has a healing journey, and that journey can be outlined as such. So you're in your homeostasis, you know, you're okay. You might be uncomfortable with who you are, you might be depressed, you might be anxious, but that's your norm, right? And then you kind of have something happen here where it's like, oh, what, like, why is this not working? Why is life not going the way that I want it? I need to figure my shit out. And then you start the process of figuring your shit out, and you slowly become a better person. And it's awesome, because in this phase right here, you can reach like trials and tribulations, and you can like have some days that are just like down here, but then some days that are just like way up here, and then come back. And all in all, it just leads to this straight, steady stream of getting better, right? And then you reach this top point right here. But that right there, see, the problem with that is most people don't have the energy to constantly be at their best selves. But you know what your best self is now. So you've healed enough to be from this point to this point up here. And this point up here, that's who you were meant to be, right? But we just don't have the energy to be our best selves every single day. So we kind of drop a little bit. And then we end up settling here. And right here, that is our nice little nook of, okay, we did our healing journey, we became our best selves, then we became our authentic selves. And then from there on, we just kind of finish our journey. That looks like an outline for a book. I literally thought this earlier today, and I'm just like, my god, I'm too much of a fucking writer. Anyways, but that is how I look at our healing journey. It's literally like, oh my god, I outlined Symphony's Note finally. Because I realized that the problem I was having with outlining Symphony's Note was that, like, it wasn't about the plots, and it's not character driven in the sense that it's the characters that drive the plots. It's character driven in the sense that it's a coming of age story. So to outline it, first off, there's 4 main characters, 5. Just one doesn't narrate, but there's 5 main characters, and then we've got all of these little things like healthy coping, maladaptive coping, inner conflict, work, what they do for work, family, mother, father, siblings, use of social media, academics, social lives, romantic relationships, interpersonal dynamics. That one was really fun to do. So to outline the goddamn book, I had to trace all of their journeys from where they started and all of the conflicts and stuff to where they ended up. And I don't have a single mention of any of the plots here. This is my outline, so rereading the book, now what I have to do is go through it and make sure that based on the timeline of the book, they're at where they're supposed to be at mentally. And everything in the book reflects this, including subtext. That's how I had to outline this book. It took me 10 years to figure that out. So anyways, again, healing journeys, you know, homeostasis, nice little inciting incident, you become your best self, you reach the climax, and then you kind of realize, I need to slow down a bit. I can't keep this up forever, so I'm gonna go here. That's a healing journey. I don't know how well this was, like, shown in the video. That was the most ridiculous thing that I could hope to end on, so I'm going to end on it. Have a good one, Internet.